It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmic Voice. Cosmic Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmic Voice. This is Season 4, Episode 21. I am here with my co-host, Chris Natalini.
Hello, everybody.
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back, everyone, to another show. Chris, how are you, sir?
Mick, doing awesome. Dude, how about yourself?
I'm doing great, doing fantastic. As we're still amidst the summer. So I'm very excited about that.
So good.
So good. Sunny days, nice and hot, just like I like it. Brown grass, not much mowing being done.
Well, unless you're mowing weeds like I am, then yeah, there's mowing going on.
No, I bought the stuff. I just spray it, kill it, done.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that pulling weed stuff for me is, I'm done. That's a young man's game. Now I spend the money to buy the spray.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Real environmental consciousness.
Consciousness.
I don't know. Anything else going on? How's your summer of live shows? How's that going?
Good, man. Good. We just saw, Leonard Skinner at Atlantic City, and then Rob Zombie. Oh, wait, is Santana first, then Rob Zombie, or Rob Zombie, then Santana? Something like that. But I'm excited for either. Hopefully they'll be good. You never know with outside shows, right? Because of weather and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that I don't mind it hot as long as it doesn't rain. I've seen Zombie before. I mean, I'm a huge fan, so I'm looking forward to that. I got wife tickets for Santana and Earth, Wind & Fire, who I've never seen before.
Nice.
I'm not the biggest Santana guy, but obviously his music is legendary and he's super talented. And Earth, Wind & Fire, there's really not much to say about Earth, Wind & Fire. So I'm really excited about that one. I'm really excited about it.
Oh yeah. I think they're going to be both good shows. I've seen Rob Zombie, so there's a lot of excitement and energy into those shows. It's a good thing. As of the recording of this podcast, of this episode, it was just like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I know that Santana was under the weather. I'm not sure if he had some heart issues or it was just the heat or just too much touring, but I guess he's back to the swing. You know those superstars, they get you up and going. We all seen Pink Floyd The Wall. We know how that works. So
well, I think and that's funny too, because I've been planning on getting my Santana tickets for my wife's birthday, and then like a couple days for her birthday I saw he canceled, or he'd passed out, unfortunately, on one of his shows that they claim is dehydration or whatever.
Sure.
I do know, like you said, I do know he has heart issues or had them, whatever. And then so I'm like, well, maybe I'll wait just in case he cancels the whole tour, and he didn't. And at the recording of this, probably by the time this comes out, the tour have already been here and gone. I was like, well, let me just see if he cancels the tour. And he only canceled a few dates. And he said he was going to come back. So I'm like, all right. But I got that, I got the insurance for the tickets anyway.
There you go. You got
nowadays, you got to do it, bro. I mean, it's an extra $20 or 17 change, whatever it is. And it's not much, but I think what's it, $17 a ticket. I mean, it's a couple $30-something. I mean, it's more money on top of all the other dumb fees.
Oh yeah. Well, they just figured out another way to pick your pocket so you feel a little bit more secure about your purchase, right? I mean, it's crazy, but that type of insurance has always been available. But most people never took it, right? But with the pandemic and things shutting down, that's exploded. Like Zoom was around before the pandemic, but the pandemic helped get it to go. So, instead of having 50 guys or people or something picking your pockets at one time, now you have 51. And all these choices, do I, don't I? And now everybody's living on fear, and they figure, well, I'm going to cover my, I'm going to hedge my bets here, and I'll just pay the extra. I mean, what's the insurance? Is it another $10?
I think it's like $17 and change for a ticket.
Oh, is it? Oh, per ticket?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's per ticket, Mick. Yeah,
okay,
pretty sure.
Okay, I don't, because
I
remember
much,
it used to be like just at one added fee years ago. Like when you're going through and clicking stuff, just do you want to pay for parking? Do you want to just insure this? And whatever. But I guess, they figured out a way to get even more money out of your pocket. So
of course they do.
Oh, yeah. And you don't even have to, you don't even have to bend over for it.
No. It's great, dude. It's so. I'm looking to see if I had it in my email real quick. I don't have it in my email, but yeah, it was like $17. I mean, I never even bought flight insurance before. I mean, unless we were traveling overseas, but if we were just going to Orlando or wherever, I never bought flight insurance. Right. Now you're lucky if your plane even takes off. I mean, nowadays it's like, and I get it. And it is nice to know that, if God forbid something were to happen to some tour that I did pay money, that my money is not going to be sitting on Live Nation's bank account making interest when I'm trying to squeeze pennies together to make the Eagle scream.
Yeah, I understand.
But but apparently the tour is back on and it's all good. So I'm excited to see that because, like I said, I never seen Earth, Wind, and Fire, and it wasn't, they're not even on a bucket list, but it'll be cool to even say I saw them. Kind of like Skinner, I don't know if you and I spoke about it off the air, but when I saw Skinner, I wasn't real that. I don't want to say I wasn't excited because she was super excited, and that's all that really matters. But I was like, cool, it's Skinner. But when I left there, I'm like, man, I'm glad I got to see it. Like they were top-notch players, and they were having a blast.
Sure.
And,
oh yeah.
To say you saw a Van Zandt, even it's not the original, but it's it's the brother that's been with them since '87, I think. And I got to see 2 original guitar players, and and nowadays it's kind of you don't really hear much of that anymore. So. It's just opening up my mind a little bit, man.
I hear. So
checking out some acts.
With Earth, Wind, and Fire, I mean, how many original guys are there? I mean, is Philip Bailey's pretty much fronting everything now, right? Since Maurice has passed on. I think
so, dude. But nowadays it's the players that took over for the originals have been in the band longer than the originals.
Oh, so yeah, that's true.
Who is really original?
Kind of, kind of works that way. It's kind of like Chicago, you know what I mean? Like, I think the one saxophone player now is the voice piece of the band, you know what I mean? So, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying, like, who is a real original at this point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you count the guys who were on the original records, or do you count the guys that have been in the band longer than the originals and have been recording for years,
Yeah,
but
I know.
It doesn't matter, to me, for stuff like that, it doesn't matter, but I get it. And, again, it's one of those acts that you and I have talked about, one of those retro acts, I guess, for lack of a better word. And that's not demeaning in any way. It's just, it is what it is. Just those retro acts. I don't necessarily know how many people care.
It's not like they're coming out with brand new music. I mean, they have a back catalog of 70s, early 80s hits that are still played at every single wedding, graduation, even some funerals people go nuts on. So it's still
and I don't really think people care, especially in our age bracket that maybe we're fans of Earth, Wind, and Fire back in the day. I don't know how much they really care who's an original and who's not. I mean,
not to prolong getting to the show topic tonight, but I am coming to the realization as the rise of tribute bands are now out the roof because all your local venues are booking them non-stop. I mean,
yes,
multiple times a week, sometimes a night of nothing but tribute bands, where it's getting harder for original acts to find a place because they don't have the draw, right? They don't have the familiarity with the audience as these, not that these particular tribute bands have that type of connection as the players, but by the music they're presenting, right? I understand it. It's a definite guarantee for the venues. So the people are coming in and they can experience a night of things that they're familiar with. I understand that. It's fantastic business. And this, to me, has definitely been on the rise since everything is kind of going back to full swing since the restrictions been lifted on the pandemic. However, the more and more I see it and the more and more people that are coming out for it, I am under the belief now that people just really don't care if it's their favorite artist or not. It goes beyond that. It's just they want to hear that song.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And
totally.
I also think that the flip side of that is, one, some of these groups aren't around or aren't touring, and no one wants to pay that high ticket price. I mean, ticket prices for the most part are just crazy, regardless of the venue. Like you said, if you're buying them online, I think even if you buy them at the box office now, there's additional fees that have been added because everybody's got their hand in something. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I think I paid extra because of this fee and that fee, and then they make up some, there's the city tax fee, and then there's the union fees and transportation fees. I need catering fees. You're just standing here breathing my air fee, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? The lady behind you is really angry. We're going to charge you for that as as well because I'm going to have to deal with it after you leave fee, so. But I've come to that true belief, and I was just recently at a show. The place was packed, unbelievably, and it was a tribute. I'm not going to name any names or any places, but it was a tribute band for a very well top echelon metal act, and the place was packed. Yeah. And, that band's still out there, still doing stuff. It's not like they've disappeared into the way of, like, Led Zeppelin or anything like that. But, now, again, I know it's not the masses, but if you're getting that from town to town, city to city, that adds up. That's a percentage of that original artist and or band's fan base that is okay with going to see bands that are covering all your material. Or a certain era of your material.
And I think we find that and obviously we'll move on with the show, that we don't want to get sidetracked, but I think also, too, I think that a lot of these tribute bands are from bands of our era, and these bands are active, and like you had said, so what's happening is those bands are still touring, but guys our age maybe can't afford the $200, $300, $400, $500 ticket because we have a wife, kids, family, soulmate, house, job, bills. So we could pay $20, $25 and a date night out and, maybe go home with only spending $100 and so for drinks and food when your ticket alone may be $200 or $300.
Right.
And that's something against the acts. That's just how it is nowadays.
Sure.
And
they're capitalizing on that. I mean,
and I think I think that's why those older tribute bands or older those bands that are dedicating their art to bands from our era, the 80s and 90s, because those people our age aren't really going to the shows. Right. I mean, some are if they want to pay that money, but
sure. No, I get it, and I understand it. I mean, listen, like we've talked about before. Elvis impersonators, and that's what they called them, and they still do, have been around even when Elvis was around. So,
right.
I get it, I understand it, and people sometimes have a great time, and they flock to see these Elvis impersonators. They flock to see some of the higher level Kiss tribute bands. There's some bands that have been around for a number of years, and they're, like that Alive 75 or something, whatever that band is. I mean, they're selling out theaters and stuff like that. That's, listen, it's amazing. It is just amazing.
It is. It is.
And listen, like I said, it's good business for the venues, especially for venues that were struggling for 2 years and now they're making their way back. This is the way to do it. Yeah. This is the way to do it. There's things that definitely will bring in money. At one point, it was bringing in, country acts. Country music was definitely like, you have your country night or 2 nights, and that would definitely pack the place. Where, in recent years, metal hasn't done that. Rock hasn't done that.
Yeah.
So now you want to be able to kind of find the middle ground. Well, you bring in tribute acts. Acts for some of these more popular type of, say, hard rock, heavy metal, rock acts. And you pepper opening acts with either other local cover acts, which kind of hold the night for the bar, and then maybe pepper in 1 or 2 original acts. I mean, I'm finding that the bills that we're on since things have opened up has been a mixture of both. And everybody seems to be fine with it. Audience, bands, bands, how much choice do they have? Because they're trying to just get out there and work. The tribute acts, just like any other, most other, headliner acts, they're not really concerned with the opening acts. Because that's usually either a venue or the local booking agency's responsibility, not theirs unless they're touring with someone. It just makes sense all around. Their goal is to get paid. Venues looking to make money so they can pay out where they have to and keep the patrons happy. So it is what it is, but that's the world we're living in. I don't know.
That is, man. That is. That
is the way to go.
It's Russ the Boss.
Take it down.
This is Stephen Pearson from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
And with that, we're going to get on with tonight's show. So, here in Season 4, Episode 21, wow, we have one more show, people, one more show for this season, so make sure you tune in next time. But for today, Episode 21, so you want to start a band, do you? So you want to be a rock star. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, what it's like getting started. Chris, who has firsthand experience in the most recent of times, He's going to give you the whole ins and outs of what that's all about. Chris, what do you think? So you want to be in a band. What's that entail?
Don't do it. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. You heard it here from the expert himself. Thanks so much for listening.
Man, first, before I give you my answer, Mick, I got to ask you, when was, and I know you and the Corners guys, I mean, I know that band's been around for a long time. When literally was the last time you started a band from scratch? Or you and James, however you want to put it. Like, when was the last time? Would it be Corners?
Well, yeah. I mean, as an ongoing band, it would have been Corners, yes. In the process, I've done some projects over the last 11, 12 years with other players, which was not always as easy as you would think. You would go, oh, yeah, we just put some things together and do that. That's just getting some people together without that long-term commitment, so you would think you'd have a spark and an easy turnaround, but that's not necessarily the case. That in itself is difficult. I mean, I can go on forever. I mean, starting a band is one thing, keeping it going is another thing, and then trying to find that spark every so many months, that's even harder. But
so it was Corners, that was the last
That was the last band, yeah.
The last band.
Last band.
And that's been how many years now at this point?
Well, it's like 11 and a half years now.
Okay.
11 and a half of us actually working together. There was some time build up to it that was just like, it was a lot of phone calls and emails and a lot of promises and, bad scheduling. And, so that was even kind of like we were still toying with the idea, should we type of thing.
Right. So this is the reason why I am. You and I have been doing this separately, but we've been in the music business for well over 30 years at this point, right? 20, 30,
yeah.
Well over 30 years, each of us. I have had the pleasure, and I've said this many a times, I've said in interviews, I've said on the show, I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage and recording studio with super, super talented people. In all of my years of doing this, I have never started a band from scratch. I have always been in the initial stages, but a band has always kind of been together, and I've been there. Now, maybe I've been there from the beginning. Maybe I came in the middle, or maybe I was, because there was one band I was in. We were together like 3 years, and we did everything we could in those 3 years, and it got to the point where we were like, well, we can't really do anything else. We've done everything we've ever wanted to do, and we just called it quits. I've been lucky enough to say, or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, I've never had to start a band from absolute scratch. So here I am, 2022. We'll actually start it in 2021, 2020, 2021, starting over. And from nothing. I don't want to say not really from nothing, because I had a guitar player. Him and I have been together. We've been friendly a long time, super talented. So him and I, because of our friendship, we've always wanted to do something together. We had something in place that didn't work out. When this opportunity arose, we both decided that this was the time. His project wasn't doing anything. I obviously was out of a project. Him and I were supposed to be doing that together. So here we are. So we said, all right, we're going to do it. And we have nothing. We didn't have a name. We didn't even talk about names. We said, now this was us. So take it however you want. It's different for everybody, but I had a guitar player. So I had a little bit of a foundation going. I had some cement laid down, you being a little bit of a handyman, how to build a solid foundation. So I had a little bit of concrete. And we just started to write songs. I was writing lyrics. He was writing music. He's a guitar player, so he would record some drum tracks off a drum machine that he would program. And just to kind of get an idea of the theme of the song or the parts, they weren't even really constructed. He just would put, he would record a song, and then he would add drum tracks to it. And obviously, as you know, Mick, drum machines they're just there to, some people utilize them and it's been great, but we were writing with them just so we had some kind of basis. Of course, when we got a live drummer, we knew it was going to change, and it has immensely, but I'll get to that. So we started writing. We just had stuff, going on. And we said, you know what, let's at least find a drummer first, right? Talking about maybe getting another guitar player. We weren't sure. And, bass players are so hard to find, which as of you also know that, singers and drummers and guitar players, there's a bunch of us out there. Or singers and guitar players, whatever. So we said, all right, let's find drummers. So I'm old school. I don't even know, Mick, where these younger bands find players. Like, I just don't, because back in the day, we'd hang flyers up at your local record stores, your local music shops. And I was just like, I'll just put ads online. There's many. I think I spoke to you about one of them or two of them. I think you have an account with one of them. And I didn't get much luck out of it, but you know what? Who knows, right? So I just threw it out there because it's a paying one. So obviously, the more you pay, the more you get out of it.
Sure.
And it took us forever to find a drummer. I'm going to say we were probably a full band as of maybe, so this was probably late 2020, early 2021 when we physically started talking about it. I think in all that time up till about January or probably January, February of 2022, I think I had 3 drummers reach out, and that's including the one that I am currently with. So it just took time. And, you know, me and my guitar player have just been sitting on it, and we keep working, we keep talking. We're talking about it. We talked about it probably every day, maybe every other day, just the next step. Found the drummer through an online ad. Him and I hit it off pretty much immediately through email. He seemed like a super guy. He's a little younger than us, but that doesn't matter. And we started to make a plan. I put him in touch with my guitar player. My guitar player was sending him songs, and then he would kind of just drum track over it, just kind of get ideas, just so we could see, not necessarily see what he could do, because we looked at his history. We were pretty comfortable and confident about what he could do. It was about, you know, how was he going to play, you know, what we were talking about doing. So during that, we decided we were going to stay a 4-piece, and we had a bass player lined up, which is the 15-year, probably almost 20-year musical partner of my guitar player. These guys have been together for eons. So their connection is kind of like you and James. You know each other just by the looking at each other. It's that kind of relationship. They've written together, you know, many times over. They come from a pretty successful local band in our East Coast area. So once we got our bass player in, we got the drummer, and then we had to find a place to rehearse. That took a month. But in the meantime, we're continuing. Now the 4 of us are talking. We're laying out a plan. We're laying out deadlines. And, you know, again, you can't do anything until you find a rehearsal spot. So that took forever. I remember, Mick, back in the day, we could rehearse anywhere. We could rent a public storage place. We could rehearse anywhere. There was many more studios when you and I were younger that you could go jam in. You had the pleasure back in the Seeker days where you guys had your parents' garage. Mm-hmm. You know, that was offset of the house. You know, none of us could really practice at our houses. It's just not that we couldn't. We just can't. So I finally found a place that the money was right. The security was more important than the money, because the money is a little expensive, but the security is utmost because we leave everything there. It's our room. We can do whatever we want with it. It's 24 hours. Everything is key locked. There's security cameras everywhere because the owner runs his own private business out of there. And he's owned this building for a ton of years. So we went with him, and then we started setting up a practice schedule, and we've just been spending hours and hours in the rehearsal spot. And I mean 6, 7, 8 hours just writing and recording, like demo recording, on our phones, and putting pieces together. And we have, we went out and bought all these whiteboards, and we have, all kinds of stuff on it, just trying to build a set, man. And again, we're literally coming from scratch. I mean, this has been probably going on almost 2 years at this point, and we're now we finally finished our 6th song, and we've been practicing since February, March, maybe February or March or April, somewhere in there. Like, was our first, because I remember we had winter clothes on, so it might have been February, March when we actually moved into our place. Rehearsing when we all can, because a couple of my guys are coming super far away. When we practice, we start early and we end late. And we take a couple breaks. We have lunch, dinner, whatever, just to get a set, because it's got to be tight. And in the meantime, we're booking shows. We didn't have a band name yet, so that's a whole nother issue. So now that we have the guys, right, and the music's being created, the lyrics are being created, the parts are being created, now you need a name. Trying to find a name in 2022 is not only ridiculous, it is unbelievably hard, because not only are you trying to find a name that's original and fits your music and fits the band, but you're trying to find a name that nobody has and something that everybody agrees on, which that was one of the hardest things. And I don't mean that disparagingly. It just was, there's 4 different personalities. We all think things the same. We all want the best for the band. So we really were picky about what we were doing. Every decision we make, we talk about it. Because I don't want this to be, and I'm going to say I, because we're doing the show together. If it was us, we would say we. There is no I in my new band. I don't believe in that. I believe, we had talked about it on former podcasts, I believe in a leader. I believe in a guy that kind of leads the pack to war, right? Not that it makes it any better than the next guy, but I believe there has to be a leader. someone that could boost morale, like you just said, kind of keep it all together, right? I think you need one of them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be you who started the band. Whoever personality is better at it. There's always one guy that just needs to kind of keep morale going, kind of keeping everybody on the same page. No decisions get made by one guy. I mean, that we laid that ground rule out from the beginning. And if we can't agree, somebody has to kind of give a little and get a little. I've always said you make the decisions, whatever is better for the band, not what's best for you, what's best for the band. Because that to me is the most important. Just because my guitar player and I started this project together doesn't mean that him or my ideas are going to be the best. Sometimes other guys in the band have a better idea, and that's okay. It's not about ego. It's not about who's better. It's about whatever is best for the band. Sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes it's not. And if it works, great. Then that person gets the credit. If it don't work, you pick up your bootstraps and you move on. So finding a name was ridiculous. So what we did is the four of us gave ourselves like 4 days. And we said the next time we come to rehearsal, everybody comes to rehearsal with a bunch of names. Doesn't matter if they're good or bad, dumb or smart. Let's just all have names. So we all came with a list. I think I had 20 names. I know my guitar player probably had 40. My bass player I think he had like 10 or 15. And my drummer probably had about 10 or 15. And we just read them off to one another. And we go, nope. Yeah, that's kind of cool. We'd already had a plan that we didn't want to be a one-word band. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But the four of us liked the blah, 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 right? Of course, Sanctuary. We liked that 2 or 3 words. We liked the, I don't really know how to say it. I don't know how to put it in words. We just didn't want to be a one-word band. Unless we could come up with a really cool one word, then that would be cool. But we wanted something that was kind of had a rhythm to it. You know what I mean? And then what would happen was we had all these names and we would pick the best ones off of each other's list. We'd write them all down and then we would put them on a whiteboard and then we would go, nope. All right, let's take this word, move it to another whiteboard and just try to mix and match, right? And that's how we did that. I think that took us literally 2 weeks. That is not a lie. We would settle on 10 names. We would walk away from it. Maybe at our next break during the day, we'd go back to it. Maybe we'd take a couple days, go to work, live our lives, come back to it, think about it, come back to it. Eventually, we got it down to 2, and eventually we chose the 1. And from those 2, we just decided we both liked them. But we were like, you know what? This one may be better as a song title or maybe an album title. There was just something about the name that we picked that all 4 of us really kind of liked. And we didn't like it off the bat. We chose the 2, and then we sat on them for a couple more days. And then we went back to it. And then we said, okay, I think we all like this one because of this. It just felt right. The mood of the band, the music we were doing, the attitude. So we picked it. Now I got to go search and make sure that nobody's got it. Nobody had it. So I instantly started, registering the name, whatever. Side note. So this is just completely side note, but a guy hits me up random. Once we announced the band, some guy hits me up random and goes, hey, just want to let you know, I own that name as a website. So if you want it, it may be a little expensive, but I'm willing to sell it to you. I was like, yeah, delete. That's okay. I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, what if I got to add words to it? That's fine. No, I'm not paying you just because you're one of those guys, smart probably, that just puts things together and starts buying up websites. Because I plugged in the website, it's not even operational. Just the name is gone, right? So anyway, we picked the name. Now I got to get a logo made. Now I got to contact somebody who does a logo or who does, graphic arts, if that's what you want to call it. We had some ideas. Now that was, of course, where artist goes, hey, I came up with this. And you go, all right, cool, I'll take it back. And then, everybody go, wow, we should do this and just that. Our logo now looks nothing like the original logo that we were given. But that's okay. It's just one of those things, right? And in the meantime, we're still writing songs. We're still rehearsing. I'm booking shows. We don't even have a band name yet. I got shows coming up. Then it was pictures. We wanted to do pictures. We wanted the announcement to be big and we wanted it to be solid and we just wanted to be different. We wanted it to be big because it's a surprise. We haven't told anybody about this project me and my guitar player haven't told anybody about this project in 2 years. The only people that knew were the people that were supposed to know. My wife, the girl he was dating at the time, a couple of promoters that were helping us get shows that were eventually going to come when I had shows booked before I even had a full band. I mean, it's just how it was because there were some people that needed to know that there was a project coming. We got pictures made, and then it was the decision of, the original plan was to put out music at the time of the announcement. But we, unfortunately, because it took us so long to get to this spot, because it took us so long to find members and get our ducks in a row, we needed to make the announcement before we were able to record music to put it out. And right now we're in the middle of, again, writing a set. We're just trying to get a set together so we're prepared for the shows. Once these songs are completely together, then we'll record them. So hopefully by the time some of the shows come up, we'll either be in the studio or we will have something to go with us, whether it's going to be a full length or an EP. I don't know that.
You are listening to The Cosmic Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
I just feel that it's super important that people need to realize that starting a band is not easy. If you want to do it the right way, and we wanted this to be done the right way, and there's so much, I never realized what it entails. Because again, I've always been lucky enough to be in a project that was already started, or at least coming up off the ground. So I was in it for the groundswell, but I wasn't in it from the very, very get-go. There was already a name attached. There was already songs written, and I just came in, and then we just started playing. And this is completely different, man. This is something I've never been a part of, and it's cool, and it's hard, and it's stressful, and it's exciting. My energy levels when I'm not sick, my energy levels are super high about it. I feel accomplished, and we haven't even put a tune out yet. It's just really cool, the feeling that I have, and the songs are coming along, and now that we have a set, we're working as a band, where before we were working as 4 individuals, because the 4 of us have never played together. We don't know our drummer that well because he's not in our circle of people. He comes from a whole nother state. It started off a little wonky because I am working with 2 guys that are friends of mine that I've never worked with before. They're working with me, and the 3 of us have a drummer. The 3 of us have a history together because we've known each other for so long. And now we have a drummer that we don't know. He has to learn how we are as individuals and as longtime friends, because it's hard, because sometimes we'll go into rehearsal and we'll talk about things and we'll go, oh man, we need to include you in this because we keep forgetting that you're not. He's been around for so long at this point. We've seen him so long, and our days together are so long. We feel like he's been part of us forever, and we keep forgetting that he's new. So we got to fill him in on people and stories and friends and listen to his stories about his friends and things he's done and the tours he's done and his past and his future and his future with the band and what he's excited about. And this is kind of his first, although he's been in a few touring bands, this is his first band that is really something ferocious and serious and is working our asses off, to get this project off the ground. It's hard. It's super hard. And in 2022, it's even harder. I don't know the age that's going to listen to this. If you're younger than us, it may be a little easier, but it's hard, man. And there's so many things that I still have to do. But right now, I'm just trying to get the name off the ground and get the music out there. And then, all the other legal things that have to happen behind the scenes. But yeah, man, it's not easy, Mick. It's not. And I know you've been with me because you've kind of had an idea for the past couple months. And I know how you've seen it. It's not easy, man. I mean, I'm super stoked about it. I'm super excited. It's given me life about other things in my life on a musical level. As much as faith and believing in it was going to happen and the universe, there's always that thing in your back of your head that goes, well, man, I am an older cat. Am I going to be able to do this again? I mean, I'm starting from scratch, man. It's a no name. We are a no name band. It doesn't matter who's in the band. We're a no name. Nobody knows who we are. That's something that you have to kind of swallow and go, all right, I mean, it is what it is. We're starting from scratch, and it's hard. And as you know, also, trying to sell your band on something that you have no history. You don't. I mean, this is it. This is what I got. The story I just told you is the most exciting thing in this band right now. You know what I mean? I mean, we have tons of things coming up, but right now, all the work leading up to it was the most exciting.
Right.
Because it's all like, there's no history. We haven't even played a show yet. I mean, even when this airs, we won't even have a show yet. But we have shows coming up, and we have some really cool things, and we have traveling coming up, and we're super excited about it. And it's not easy, man, but it is. When it gets rolling and the music starts flowing and you get this groove, you get in a rhythm, and you get in a room with a bunch of people that are just as excited as you are, that's really cool. Because in the beginning, like I said, we didn't really know each other. The songs were kind of working themselves out. And at the time that we're recording this, the last time we rehearsed, which was over the weekend, like I said, this is going to be a couple weeks when you hear this, it was literally the first time that we ran through our 6 songs as a complete set. One by one, we didn't stop. We just kept going. Even some, I don't even have lyrics for everything. I was just singing in different spots, even just kind of scatting in different spots, kind of like Steven Tyler does. Just kind of going with it, just to find my spots, find the melodies. And when we got done, we were like, yeah, man, like that. Now we feel like a band. Now we have a set, and it felt really, really good and really, really positive. But it's hard, bro. It's super hard. I did not think it was going to be this hard, and it really, I don't want to say humble because it sounds like I have this huge ego, and it just really made me realize that this business is not as easy. I already know it's not easy, but this is a whole new level that I've ever been on before, and that I never, I just thought it was going to be easy, and it really wasn't. Even finding a flipping name was the worst. So it was fun, but it was the worst. I mean, we have great song titles. I mean, because a lot of the names we ended up keeping. It's been a long road, man. It's been a real long road, but I'm really happy about it. I'm really psyched about it. And here we are. So
I've never, all the bands that I've been in, I've started myself, except for 2. There was 2 bands, and they were very short-lived. I was brought in as a second guitar player, but early on I knew at that time, I wasn't good enough. I was already in a band that I had started, then brought into this other band as a second guitar player, and it just didn't last very long. For me, I just was like, I don't think I'm ready for this. This is just way above my pay grade.
Can I interrupt you? I don't mean to break your thought, but I have a question when you say that.
Sure.
Do you think it's because you're more of because naturally I feel like you're a natural leader?
Well, I don't know about that.
Do you think it didn't work for you because and not that you want to be the leader, I'm not saying that, but you're one of those people that just falls into that spot because you're always going, you're always thinking forward. Do you think that that wasn't the right time for you because of the way you are in a business role, or just playing wise, you just weren't interested in doing what they were doing?
No,
do you know why you didn't?
No, well, I think
through?
Yeah, I don't think it was anything business related back then. They definitely were doing things that I wanted to do. I just remember saying, "Listen, I don't really think that I'm good enough to play with this right now."
Okay.
That was a concern
good enough
of mine.
Talent-wise?
Yeah, good enough
personality?
talent-wise.
Talent-wise.
No,
Okay.
personality.
Okay.
I was asked to be in another band at one point, and so I went, and I actually met who would become my drummer for the next band that I put together, and, we'd work together on and off for, over the next 25 years at different capacities. So that band just didn't work out because I just didn't gel with the other members. They were in, and me and the drummer and I rather, we hit it off immediately, both in the playing and just kind of personality. We come from similar family backgrounds and stuff like that. Yeah. There was like some substance use that I was not interested in being a part of or doing. So that was kind of like a red flag for me. They had a beautiful rehearsal place. Oh my God. I walked in, I'm like, oh my God, like I made it. But from that point forward, or even before that, I've always done my own thing, started the thing from ground up. Now, when I was younger, I think, and this may be the case with a lot of us, we don't think of all these other things that are involved, right? Until you start reaching certain plateaus in your career. Because it's just like, hey, we get together, we plug in, let's go. And that's how a lot of it was, because you're working on adrenaline and drive, and things just seem to happen easier in a sense. But did they really? I don't know. Looking back, maybe the level of performance was not as good as we thought it may have been, or we were all at a different level where it was like better than the average. It could have been a lot of different things, right? But there is something about being somewhat green, but yet being passionate enough that you find yourself in that zone. And when I was younger, I was there. My timing was just really good, even for the limited playing. And I'm not afraid to say that. I know a lot of people got hang-ups. They want to be the best guitar player, and they're rippers and shredders and whatever. They crush the world, you're the greatest in the world, whatever. I don't buy into that routine. Like, you could be the greatest guy, but if it's boring or if it's too over the top, I have no interest. Your skill set could be great.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't have a problem saying that either I was not that good or I'm still not that good, and that's okay, because I accepted it long time ago of what type of guitar player I am, and I knew that, I was never a guy that wanted to run through scales and do all these finger exercises and play on my own. I wanted to pick up the guitar, and I wanted to play in a band. That's exactly what I want to do. Now, it's not rocket science. That was pretty much the thing. Get a guitar, have an amp, play in a band. That's it. Yep. I didn't even care to play lead. I just wanted to play. I fell in love with rhythm right from the start. And I was a rhythm guitar player for most of my career. When I put Corners of Sanctuary together, this was the first time that I was the only guitar player and I was forced to play lead, which I struggled with. And I still struggle with, because I don't consider myself a lead guitar player. If you listen to Corners of Sanctuary stuff, those leads, 10, 12 seconds tops, because I don't believe the song is about the leads. Everything that we do in a song is to enhance the vocals. Now, because we're a vocal band, that means we have a singer. To me, that's the focal point, though we're guitar driven. You see what I mean? So when I was first writing the material, I know I'm going to jump around a little bit, but when I was first writing material for Corners, I was writing it as I did in the past for 2 guitars. When it came down to playing it live, I'm like, oh man, now this is a little complicated, because what do I play? So when I was recording, I was recording everything in the kitchen sink, but then I had to scale it down for the live. Well, anyway, going back to that, another reason that I think I've always started my own bands is because of that lack of certain ability to just go in and play with anybody. Being an introvert, I wasn't hugely social. I didn't have the best rap or rapport with people, so it seemed normal and natural to me to start it myself. When in doubt, just do it yourself. And everything that I started, I always came to the table with some music already. Because, you fiddle around with stuff, you start putting things, I was jotting down, lyrics and stuff. One of the coolest things for me is when I was in 8th grade, I had written a song, and my brother's band had used it. That was really cool. Like, I mean, I didn't expect it, but they were like in the process of something. They said, hey, look, what do you have there? Like, you know what I mean? Because now I'm getting to that age where, like, I'm hanging around with Big Brother, and I'm not a pain in the ass. I'm kind of, I'm kind of like the little cool guy. And then I'm writing, he plays guitar too, and one thing led to another. And so that actually early on gave me some confidence. And listen, was it the greatest song? Nah, there were some good parts to it, and I was just thinking about the song a couple weeks ago, saying, hey, maybe I'll bring that song back. But there were some corny lines. But again, like how much is an 8th grader going to really... But the song was used. This was the mid-'80s, so I got away with it. But it helped me build some of that confidence about wanting to be a songwriter and a better songwriter, and I went that route. So it always became like my thing was I'll just start a band. I'll just do my own band. And like you said years ago, it was a little easier, I felt, finding players, where today it's very difficult to find players. I've been fortunate enough that I've been playing with James since 85. Any band that I put together, it was a give me that James was part of it. Like I didn't even that was already filled. But it is very difficult to find members in this era. One, if you're looking for guys our age, in our age bracket, they come with a list of demands because they have a track record of good and or bad that they want to avoid or make sure they get. So then all of a sudden, you got this big rider and we haven't even started playing yet. And you're like, well, I don't know. And then you have younger people who are looking for that specific, like if you've used Craigslist or anything like that, they advertise that they want to play and be a part of this band. They want to do this, do that, the other thing, but then they don't want to do anything. So it's almost like, so it's really hard. And you had said something earlier about like how these young bands find members. It's because I think they're at that age group where they're still kind of in that circle. There's that circle of friends that has that circle of friends that have yet to make those life commitments that we've talked about in other podcasts. There's a band that I know of, I'm not going to mention any names, but they rotate members like every couple months. There's like a new drummer, a new bass player, a new second guitar player. The only consistent guy, I think, is the singer because it's like his band. But even the one longtime guitar player now has kind of like vanished and they've been replacing people. Kind of like what you're saying at the beginning of the show. Some of the replacements have been there longer than the original or the founding members. So it's, it's crazy. But I know exactly what you're talking about, the difficulty when you finally realize what it is you want in a band and you've experienced some sort of level of success or of notoriety, or just you've taken the band to a different level than someone's garage or basement. you start realizing, well, this has to actually start from the beginning, not long after we've created bad habits.
Right.
So you want to have that right name. You and I had put out a project earlier this year called Hereafter. Well, you do a search for Hereafter, there's like 1,900 Hereafter bands of all different kind.
Right.
And in a sense, there's no stopping the use of the names as there once was. Because there's all these different levels, and there's this and that and the other thing. You could just change the spelling. Like, I was in a project called Decipher, and there was 16 deciphers. But they were spelled differently, and I spelled mine differently, and we were a different type of band. And again, that was just a project band, but name is difficult. What's even harder is you get the name, but you can't get the website. Because that's the immediate that people want to... You get the name quickly, get the website. And like you said... There's guys that go out and buy up names like crazy in the event to resell them.
Yep.
And they make a living out of that. Or, they make some extra money out of it for sure. So, but yeah, there's a lot involved that you don't think of in the early stages unless you've already been there. If you were green right off the boat in terms of the music business, starting a band, you wouldn't have thought, well, hey, listen, we just throw a name and we do this and we do that, and, is it all democratic all the time? No, not really. I definitely agree with you. Somebody has to take the reins and be point person, otherwise nothing gets done. Now, James and I, because we've been playing together so long, and we are friends, and this band has been around a number of years, there's certain things that him and I will do, and we call, listen, I made an executive decision today, and this is where it's at. And there's a lot of things that go, yeah, well, that makes sense, you know what I mean? It'd save you the time. Because I'm the day-to-day guy, I bring a lot to the band, but then there's things that I don't bring to the band because it's a waste of time for their time when I could be using their time for something else. So there's certain decisions that are made. And I mean, again, we're 11 and a half years into this. Everybody realizes where the focus is, what's it about. But like as you're saying, everybody's still getting to know each other. The flip side of that is sometimes that could hold up the process. And we've seen major bands that have told stories about how the process has been kind of halted because one player's, holding you hostage. And I've been in bands that,
1,000%.
Or the bands that I've started, sometimes you lose that, and it goes other places, and it is what it is. But like you're saying, there's an exhilaration, there's an excitement to it that is fueling this. Because I know when I put this band together, Corners, I already had 9 songs together that I had been writing, and I had them already demoed, real basic demos, nothing great. Like I said, use drum tracks and all. And that's the beauty of the new technology that we talked about in a couple. I mean, 100%. Because you can demo things and go, yes, this is working. No, this isn't working. Now you can file share and all that, and that makes things a lot easier so that when you get experienced guys together, it starts clicking a little bit more, right? In terms of, when you actually have to get out there and do it. I always enjoyed that time putting the band together. I think it gets harder once the band is rolling and to keep things going. I mean, again, 11 and a half years could be a lot to some and not as much as others, but you have to constantly keep finding ways to entice people to check you out. Because when you're new, when I say new, that means you're under that 5-year mark. There's a little bit more of, check this new band out. After 5 years, you're really not a new band anymore. After you reach 10 years, you're kind of like an old band. And sometimes you hit this thing that everything from 10 years on is all downhill. I've seen a lot of bands do that. And, we were hitting that 10-year mark during the COVID thing. And, we felt a little bit of it, I'll be honest with you. And now it's like starting over again. We've cycled through members over the last 11 and a half years. And each time it's like there was a bit of a starting over again.
For sure.
And that I found to be even more difficult. I'd rather go start a brand new band, write a bunch of new songs, and get things going. I felt that was a lot easier. I did know that when I put this band together, and I had there was a lull between the last band and Corners of Sanctuary, that I wanted to achieve certain things. I wanted to do things in a certain way. We could say that I want to do them my way this time. That's possible. I don't want that to come across. It's like, hey, this is like a Gestapo type thing. It's not really like that. I did have a vision, And once that vision started to take off and the band started to mature as a unit, new and exciting things and better things were actually happening, and we were able to expand on that vision, as one united vision. Because, you see something in your head and you bring other people in. They may get a glimmer or a glimpse of it, but they may not see it in the same detail as you do. And that may take some time, because not everybody sees the bigger picture right away. And then all of a sudden it hits them, and everybody's, riding into the sunset, like at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You know what I mean? That's the exciting part. It's definitely a lot of work, but I'll tell you, man, when it all clicks, you go to yourself, yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it. Oh, yeah. And if you're excited about it.
Absolutely. I think some of the hardest thing, too, is like once you have it together, you worry about people's commitment, right? Because it's one thing to get to play, get together, jam, learn some songs, but it's a whole nother thing. Like when, you pretty much said it, ball starts to get rolling, things change.
Yep.
Commitments become different.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because now you're not just jamming. You're jamming, on a, you're rehearsing one day, and then you're playing later, or later on that week, or what, you're just not in a room where you can go, we can jam today. I got nothing going on.
Right.
Where it's like, oh man, we need to so it's commitment, you know what I mean? It's loyalty, commitment. That's huge, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Getting started, everybody's excited. It's like, the couple dates, you're courting them around, you're going to the mall, I sound like the 80s. You're going to the mall, you're getting at the food court, you go see a movie, you hit the arcade, friendlies at 11 o'clock at night. I'm talking about the 80s now, because that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? But then when the stuff starts getting really serious, there's that commitment, and now you got a purpose, and you're working towards something, right? It takes two, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and in this case, it takes four. If you're used to a band that has 5 people, the dynamic is one way. When you go to a band with 4 people, the dynamic's even, there's a whole different thing. I'm assuming a 3-piece is even a little bit, whatever, down to a solo artist. So, yeah, it's a lot of work, man, but it's something that I always enjoy doing, and though I can tell, in your voice, it's a lot of work and all, but I can also tell that you've enjoyed it very much so. So it's an exciting time. It
is. And we're all very detailed, so that makes things, that goes either way, right? Like it can be, being detailed's very good, or it sometimes can hold things up.
Yep.
And that's where the 4 years got to go, okay, we need to move on.
Right. Anything else you want to add?
Nope,
I mean, because that's...
No, brother. Nope. That's it.
All right. I think we covered it. If you like that, check out some of our other episodes at www.cosmicvoice.com. Step into the Cosmic Verse and fill that void. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmic Voice. Be sure to check us out at thecosmicvoice.com. Like and follow us on Facebook at The Cosmic Voice. You can find The Cosmic Voice everywhere you listen to online podcasts, like Deezer, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, and so many more.
Okay, folks, that will do it for another episode of The Cosmic Voice. Mick and I would like to say thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
You're listening to The Cosmic Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.